is both history of science
I'm
and
history of science, he's real science.
and astrophysics.
It's all real.
And then we have Muhammad, who is a graduate student doing your PhD now, right?
Yeah.
Or you have done
I'm doing
you are back from the UK, right?
Yes, that's
Very
true.
good. Very good. Outreach TA, Ibrahim Yahya. We have undergraduate Ahmad. We have our dean, Dr. Samiha Peterson, and then the IT manager,
Tariq
Effendi, and Basma, one of our volunteers, and another outreach TA here, Ahmad. And we have, this is the one projector, and this is another projector that we are getting your live feed on.
Great, fantastic. Well, I will go ahead and start.
Yes.
Thank you so much. As you said, I'm Teresa Schwerin. I'm the lead for the NASA Earth Science Education and Public Outreach Forum. We're one of 4 forums in NASA's Science Mission Directorate. And as the illustration shows, this is part of NASA that includes the scientific exploration of our Earth system, our sun, the solar system, and the universe. So your colleague in astrophysics, certainly we have resources for you in NASA Wavelength. I'm also one of the project leads for NASA Wavelength, and I have to say that Wavelength was developed by a team, and that includes my organization. I work for the Institute for Global Environmental Strategies, and I'm working together with the University of California at Berkeley and the Adler Planetarium in Chicago on Wavelength. So I'm so glad to be with you today virtually to give you a tour of NASA Wavelength, which is a digital library of NASA science education resources. We launched the site this past fall, and we currently have almost 1,800 resources in collection. Those are 1,800 individual lessons, resources like videos and posters and images. And I want to give you a tour and a snapshot of what we have here. So I'm going to walk you through the site. I want to point out some resources that I think you might find particularly useful. And at the end, I want to give you a sneak peek, a preview, and some of the new capabilities that we have planned to roll out this summer. And you are one of the first groups to see these. Last week we had a focus group at the National Science Teachers Association meeting with 8 teachers, and you are the second group to see what we have planned. So
Teresa, would you mind
share that?
Would you mind that we try to do something with our audio here? We are trying to make your audio at a better level. So you just pause for a minute, just to try to make our audio better.
Audio is off still.
الصوت واضح ولا؟
واضح. It's clear.
All right, sorry for that. We will we will begin from where you left us at.
Okay, how is it sound now?
It is good. It is good.
Is it good? Okay, and I can speak louder too. Will you tell me?
That would help actually. Thank you.
And if you have questions as I go through this,
Yes.
please stop me. I'm glad to make it a conversation and answer your questions as we go.
Yes, sure, sure.
So I'm just going to jump into the site now. I'm going to share my desktop.
Good.
Get things arranged here. Okay, so I'm going to give you a tour of the site. And so when you first go to our website, I think one of the things that we think you'll notice is there are lots of ways to do the collection. There are lots of ways to find resources. And the homepage is in through 3 sections. I'm going to walk through those 3 sections and then take you deeper into the collection. So let's go to the first page. Up at the top, you'll notice some things right away. You'll notice some big banner ads, and we currently have 4 of those. The first one last week was the National Science Teachers Association meeting here in the States, and we put together a collection of resources that were featured or presented at that conference. And if you click on the Explore NSCA 2013 resources, it will take you to that collection. Some of the other collections in there currently, and we change these regularly. But we recently launched the Landsat satellite. We have a collection of educational activities related to that satellite. We have a collection of activities related to the electromagnetic spectrum. And the 4th collection that we're currently featuring is one about kinesthetic activities. So activities for learners who learn best with things physically, getting up and moving around, tactile learners. So those are some of our current collections that are being featured. Some of the ones that we have that will be coming up, there'll be one on an asteroid. There's a big comet that I believe is over conference visible. So we'll be featuring that then, and several other collections. So once we come in, you'll see some of the big collections. You'll notice on the right-hand side of the page, browse our collections. And so you can go in by audience. And we have it split up by pre-kindergarten, elementary, lower elementary, and upper elementary, middle school, high school, higher education, and informal education. So resources for science centers, museums, aquariums, planetariums. And speaking of planetariums, that's going to be one of our featured collections next planetarium shows. We've got a number of those in the collection. You can also go in by topic and browse by big topic. This is just to give you an idea of some of the big topics in the collection: Earth and space science, astronomy, Earth processes, Earth structure, Earth history, Earth, Moon and Sun, solar system, engineering and technology, life sciences, mathematics, physical sciences, the nature of science, and the nature of technology. And you'll notice next to each of these topics, there's a number. And that's the number of resources in a collection related to that topic. You can also search by keyword. So if you have a phrase that you want to put in, you can do that. And you can couple that with the audience if you want to narrow it that way and search. You go to the middle part of our page, other ways to dive into the collection, again by audience. And if you mouse over each of these audience bubbles. And one of the things that I don't think I mentioned, the target audience for Wavelength is educators. So while these resources are to be used with these different levels of students, our target audience is educators. And so you'll notice those are the items in the collection currently. Middle school and high school, we also have resources for higher education and for informal education. To the right of the audience bubbles, you'll notice there's a rotating panel, And these are featured products from the collection, 40 different products from the collection. We change that regularly to try and highlight some of the newer things in the collection. But again, our purpose is when someone comes to the site, we want them to know right away what are the kinds of things that they're going to find in the collection to bring those to daylight. And if you go to the bottom of the homepage, these sections they connect the user to the broader family of NASA resources. Our focus is on science, so on Earth and space sciences, but we also want to connect people to that broader family of NASA resources. And so you'll notice on the left-hand side, NASA Multimedia, you can connect to the different NASA apps for tablets and smartphones. You'll notice on the left, NASA Hangouts. So these are things, no matter where you are, NASA has Google Hangouts on different topics throughout the year. I don't think there's a current one planned, double check, not right now, but that changes. There are always Google Hangouts coming up, and no matter where you are in the world, you can connect to those. We go back to the homepage. NASA Science Cast are short videos, less than 5 minutes on science topics. They're really nice for initial engagement of students if you want to get their interest on a particular topic. So I invite you to go in and take a look at some of those, as well as the NASA Eclipse are also short videos on a wide range of NASA subjects, and they go a little further than science. They go into aeronautics and engineering, and the Eclipse are organized by grade bands. So there are Eclipse that were developed specifically for elementary students, Eclipse for middle school students, and Eclipse for high school students. You'll notice on the right-hand side, we have the image of the day, and those change every day. So you can go in and take a look at the image. Click on it to go to the website. These all come from a site called NASA's Earth Observatory, and they have an image of the day. It includes a nice explanation for the image and links to related resources. Go back to the home page. So let me go back up to the top. So I think, and one thing I'll point out while we're here, at the very bottom, under contact, if you click on that, it'll generate an email, and I'm one of the people that receives that email. So if you want to get in touch with me, go to the contact button there, and that'll come directly to me. So if I go back up to the top, I'm going to come back later and talk about some of these items up here, news and events, data and images, strand maps. But what I want to do is to get into the collection to show you the different ways and powerful searches that you can do. And one tip, if you don't put in a search term, if I don't put anything into that box and I click search, it will find everything in the collection. So I hate those sites that will only let you have a little bit. We will let you have access to everything. And so you'll see down here it's showing 1,735. That's the number of resources in the collection. And what you'll notice on this page, on the left-hand side are facets that you can narrow down your search by. So on the left there, audience, and you'll notice next to each of these terms there's a question mark that brings up a bubble that includes a definition for each of these. So by audience, by topic, and again you'll notice on the right there's a number, and that tells you how many resources related to that topic are in the collection. So topic, and then you'll notice on that front page we have those top-level topics. Here when you click on a term, it'll bring up subtopics and start to narrow it. So if I click on Earth processes, that's going to bring up a number of subtopics. Climate, Earth's energy budget, geochemical cycles, geological processes, and weather. If are examples of some of the subtopics under this broad topics that we saw at the beginning. Resource type, if you're looking for an activity, tool, or software, click on more. If you're looking for a quick demonstration that you can use, a lab, a course, these are all the different types of resources we have in the collection. And if you click on any of those, it will generate a list of all the items in the collection that you can then link to. Learning time. If you're looking for something that's very short and quick, something for an entire class period, we have some resources in the collection that are parts of projects that might take place over an entire school year or semester or over a week, but you can narrow down your topic by learning time. You can also narrow down by materials costs. All of the items in National Wavelength are free, the action items. There are a handful that there is a cost for, and when you link to the resources, it'll tell you that. But I'd say 95+% of the items in the collection are freely downloadable. But when you're doing an activity, it's sometimes an activity that to get the resources free, but the materials you need to do the activity vary in cost. So we want to give people an idea of what the cost is for doing the activity, the materials that you need, whether it's free, something that's an online activity, or you can download and look at online, or offline on the computer, but it's very instructional strategies. We tag all of our items by what kind of strategies there are, whether it's hands-on, inquiry-based learning, cooperative learning, project-based learning, open inquiry. As you can see, we have a long list of instructional strategies that you can search for. And then at the bottom, by SMB forums, so there's 4 broad topics. Because I've narrowed it down, so I'm showing 3 of them now, but you can search by those 4 broad topics: Earth, planetary, heliophysics, and astrophysics. So let's go back up at the top. You'll notice on the right-hand side are a list of resources that at the top it'll show you what my search is. So I've searched for all the items in the collection and current processes. I could then go over here and narrow that down. I'll pick higher education, and that'll bring up all the items in the collection that match those 2 search terms. Items for earth processes for higher education. And over here, I could either add by clicking on the left side, or topics, or audience, or any of those facets on the left, and they'll show up in that box. I can also take them away and click on the X. It'll broaden the search back up. Or I can clear the search. I can share my search using social media, Facebook, Twitter. I can email search to someone, and it'll generate a link. And one of the nice things about the links in the collection, there are live links. Every time you search on that link, it will find everything that's in the collection. So if new items are added to the collection, it will find them whenever you put that link in. Then I'll pause for a second and see if there are any questions. If not, I'll keep on going. So when you see the search results, you can kind of browse down, and this is just a snapshot of these to give you enough information to see whether or not you want to explore a resource further. And so you'll see a short description, you can click to see the full description, some of the keywords, the audience, the materials cost, and you can either go to the resource, directly go to the resource, but we also have a lot of additional information about each of these resources that we want people to know about, and we think is useful information. So you can also click on View Resource Detail, and define by you as well. This one is STEM 417 Global Climate Change Education for High School. And this is an online course for high school teachers, educators wanting to teach about climate change. So if I click on resource, and you'll see a description, you'll see all of the metadata we have for that resource, who the source is, what date, how soon it's been since it was last modified, often it's resource factors yourself, language, and then on the right side, this is not a good example. I apologize because it doesn't have the information on the right that kind of applies to this one. Excuse me 1 second. I'll get to find one. It's a little better example. So we've got two different kinds of resources in Wavelength. We've got instructional materials, and we have supplemental resources. So things like videos that might not be used in and of themselves for instruction, but supplement instruction. And so for things that are instructional materials, what you'll notice on the right-hand side of the search results page, AAAS benchmarks and assessments. Are people familiar with AAAS benchmarks?
No.
If you are, could you raise your hand? Okay. So just to tell you a little bit more about what the AAAS benchmarks are. AAAS stands for the American Association for the Advancement of Science. And about 10 or 15 years ago, they identified what are the benchmarks for science literacy at different grade bands. What are the things that we want students to know at different levels in their education related to science? And this code, if you bounce over it, will give you the full text of the benchmark code. And I'm going to come back and talk to you about the strand maps, which puts it in perspective what these benchmarks are. But if you click on the benchmark, and in this case the benchmark is if a disturbance such as a flood, fire, or the addition of loss of a species occurs, the affected ecosystem may return to a system similar to the original. And I won't read the whole thing to you. But if you click on the benchmark review, it'll take you to all the items in the collection that are related to that benchmark. It actually launches the strand map service. And I'll use this as a good opportunity to tell you about the strand maps. It takes a minute or two to load because it's generating this information dynamically. It's going into our collection and organizing this based on everything that's in the collection. So in this case, the strand maps, I'm going to go here. Back to the home page to get the strand maps. So we'll get to there. Okay. And several tabs open. It opens to make it go quickly. And there we go. Okay. So from the home page of Wavelength, you'll see the strand map link that we're going to take you in at the top level. So the strand maps are on different topics. And the ones you see listed here are not all of the strand maps, but these are the ones that are most relevant to what's in the Wavelength collection, most relevant to NASA science. So AAAS has developed these to illustrate the connections between concepts and to show how concepts in one grade level build upon another. They're used by people who are curriculum developers in developing a curriculum to see what age-appropriate concepts are at different levels. They're also used by teachers to plan their curriculum. And if you go in and click on a topic, I'm going to click on weather and climate, and it generates a strand map. And I apologize, I know this is hard to see on the screen. It's ideally if you were on your own computer, it'll be much easier to see. But the strand map, you'll notice there are arrows at the top, and that will take you, navigate you through the strand map, up and down, back and forth. But you'll also notice in the bottom right-hand corner is a miniature version of the strand map. And these are printed out there, very large documents. That you see it online, that will give you a snapshot of what the entire strand map looks like. And if you click on the red box and drag that around, you'll navigate through the strand map. And so what you'll see is this strand map is on weather and climate. And so the subtopics under weather and climate are temperatures and wind, water cycle, atmosphere, and climate change. And then you'll see down the left-hand side of the grade bands. And so at the bottom is primary elementary, so K through 2, early elementary, upper elementary, grades 3 through 5, middle school resources, grades 6 through 8, and then high school, grades 9 through 12. So the AAAS benchmarks are for elementary to secondary education levels. And so each of these individual boxes is a learning goal. It's a benchmark. And you'll notice next to each box, there's a number. And again, that's the number of resources in the collection related to that learning goal. And if you click on the benchmark, it's going to bring up a bubble. And there's a lot of information in here. You'll see a list of all of the resources in the collection related to that benchmark, are aligned to that benchmark. And things that are aligned are instructional materials. You'll see a list of things that are related. And these are things like videos, posters, lithographs, web quests that maybe in and of themselves are not instructional materials, but they can be used to assist in instructing about that benchmark. You'll also see assessments. And these last two tabs, they are not in for every single benchmark. And in fact, I think probably a lot of more benchmarks don't have them, but they will appear if there are assessment items, multiple choice test questions that AAAS has tested related to this concept, and test items for middle school and for high school in this case. And so you'll see the assessment question. If you click on this, it's going to take you to, it will open up underneath it and show what the question is, what the choices are, and then underneath that you'll see a link to view this item on the AAAS assessment website. And this is a resource outside of Wavelength, but I think it's an important one to know that this resource exists. So when you go to this page, it will give you a little more information about this test question. So it'll give the question, the answers, and then on the right side, what the correct choice is, and a little bit more information about it. And also why the choices that are not the correct choice, why they're not correct. So that. A couple of other things while I'm here I wanted to point out for you. On the top left-hand side, for many of the strand maps, there's a link to research on student learning related to that topic. So in this case, we'll give you a summary of pop-up the box and research on student learning, on misconceptions, common misconceptions, what are naive conceptions or preconceptions, and on the right what the resource is for that. And you can scroll down the split screen, so it'll give you a nice summary of research on student learning related to the strand map topic. Okay, so Ms. Stump, any questions so far?
Any questions? I'd like to ask any questions?
Okay.
Okay. Some of the other things that you'll notice, this is the search results page going back to that resource that I've got in Wavelength, in addition to the benchmarks that's related to what types of assessments are used. And again, there's anywhere you see a question mark, you click on that and you'll get a pop-up that gives you more information about what those terms mean. And so you can see what definition for each of the assessment items and things are tagged with. You'll also see one of the things that we did in developing Wavelength, we spent a lot of time talking to teachers about what they wanted in this kind of website. And one of the things that we found is they want to be able to go in and search with a lot of granularity. So a lot of the resources might have multiple activities or lesson plans in it. But we cataloged them, we went in and broke them up into individual lessons and activities and cataloged them at that level. So you'll notice over here, this particular lesson is part of a bigger resource called the Visual View. And if you click on that, it'll take you to that top level resource so you can find all the activities that are part of that. On that. You'll also see it's not the case for this particular resource, but something else that you will find under this box. If there are related resources to this, you'll find them there. If there are additional parts, maybe there's a student activity sheet or a video, you'll find those listed there. For some materials, they're translated into other languages. We have several that are translated into Spanish, some into French. If there are translations available, they'll be over here where you can link to the translation. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the home page, and I wanted to tell you about some of these other things that you'll find. One of the things that you'll find, news and events. And right now, this is just a listing. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to replace this with something that's an actual calendar view. But right now, it's a list of all of the educational activities coming up. And several of the things, and one of the things that I think NASA does well and is a leader in are things like social media and doing things online that no matter where you are, you can access. So, for example, these are some of the upcoming events. There is, let's see, an online climate course for educators is something coming up. Citizen science project on asteroid mappers. I thought there was a webinar. There are some webinars coming up. But I think you get the idea. These are things that are coming up. Some are face-to-face. Some are online. If there are Google Hangouts coming out, they'll be listed here as well. So these are things coming up. Data and images, I think one of the really powerful things about NASA science are the images that come out of it, and the data that, in fact, there are data sets that students can use in different levels. And so what we've done here is to collect these resources, and we've categorized them into three groupings. So introductory types of data and imagery, so things like animations and visualizations and still images that don't need any special software to access and use. These are things that you might use to illustrate a concept that you're teaching to engage students. A lot of museums and science centers use these to develop exhibits and programs and products. And to learn about the latest science, the latest NASA science. One of the middle school teachers that I work with, the way he uses one of the sites in here is Visible Earth, and also uses Earth Observatory. But you can go in and it'll have current images, and he will use these as a quick activity at the beginning of his class when he needs to take roll. He'll have students take a look at the image, read the description, get in a small group, and then talk about identifying 3 things that they like and 2 things that they want to learn more about. And that's a really quick activity that's engaging that you could do in a very short period of time. So it's just an example of how one of our middle school teachers we work with use these resources. Intermediate kinds of resources, these are things that have software and tools attached to them, and they're designed specifically for classroom use. Eyes on Earth with 3T, if you go in, I encourage you to go in, and it's really a neat tool. It shows all the Earth observing satellites that you can click on and get different imagery around the world. Earth Exploration Toolbook, I wanted to point out because I know a number of you teach at the undergraduate level, and these are case studies of using imagery, not just in data, not just from NASA, but other kinds as well. And they're set up really nicely. You can see the chapters that are currently in here, a range of topics. And each one is set up similarly, so when you go in, this one's on annotating change in satellite images. It gives you a description, and it gives you teaching notes that tells you what level, learning goals, rationale. It gives you a case study, step by step, how to use the imagery. And literally takes you from go to the site, download, and how to use imagery on that particular topic. And then data and tools that are used and going further. So that's a nice resource that I wanted to point out. Another one, and of course I point out the Earth examples because Earth science is my area. Other one, go back to Wavelength. The other one I wanted to point out is called My NASA Data. And the individual lessons that are part of My NASA Data are cataloged in Wavelength. But if you you can also go to the My NASA Data website. And this was specifically designed for elementary to secondary teachers and students and citizen scientists to go in and get access to what they call microsets of NASA data. These data sets are massive data sets, and they wanted to create small data sets that were accessible that teachers and students could download, bring into an Excel spreadsheet, ways for them to go in and get the data and use them. They also have a server that shows the data visually, displays the data on a map, on the globe. And there are over 200 data sets that are part of this. So I'd encourage you to go in and explore. If you're interested in how to use authentic data in the classroom, I'd encourage you to go in and take a look at that. They've developed a lot of lesson plans and resources and tools for doing just that. And then another one, non-Earth, I'll have to give you a non-Earth example because of the solar flares last week. Solar Dynamics Observatory has got some really nice imagery. And this one is of the latest images from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. And then the third category are advanced data sets. And these are full scientific data sets and analysis tools. This is for undergraduate, graduate, and working scientists. So EOS this is Earth Science. Giovanni is also Earth Science data. Hera is astrophysics data, astronomical data. The planetary data system and the Solar Dynamics Observatory also has a data system that you can get into. So I think this is also a really nice collection of resources for teachers, educators of all levels, and students, citizen scientists, who are interested in getting access to these very rich collection of images and data. So let me go back to the home page. You can share Wavelength through social media. You can also follow us on Twitter. And if you follow us on Twitter, we have a very, very active Twitter account. We Twitter Monday through Friday. We tweet Monday through Friday. And if you follow us, we try to highlight resources from the collection related to current events. So last week when our solar flares were going on, we highlighted some resources about teaching about that topic. Also upcoming activities. So I strongly encourage you to follow us on Twitter. And so I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions. The next thing I was going to do is to show you what's coming next, some of the capabilities coming up. So let me stop and see, do you have any questions or comments?
Questions from our audience? Yes, Tariq? Yes.
Yes. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, my name is Tariq. I am the IT manager of the School of Sciences and Engineering at American University in Cairo. Actually, you have myriad of scientific resources, wonderful resources, but I wonder if someone is in the process of being oriented, can you give support to someone who needs orientation from where you can start, and if you have some tracks that you can complete to make you eligible to join as a professional. For example, if I like the world of simulation or the virtual instrumentation or quality or whatever, can someone give me some orientation where I start and what to visit and so on?
You know, we wanted to set up, getting a little feedback. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we tried to set it up so that it would be pretty intuitive when you get in, how to navigate through the system. We do have a brochure, and we'll be putting that online. I know we'll be linking to that from the homepage that has, it's a trifold, and it's got all the different screens with annotations that kind of takes you through it. So I think that would do a little bit of what you described. And we'll be putting that online in the next couple of weeks. So that's a nice roadmap to Wavelength. But that does remind me to put that online. We just developed that for the National Science Teachers Association meeting. Did that answer your question?
Yes. I may add something also. It's away from this. We would like to convey our deep condolences to the terrorist attack that happened yesterday in Boston, to the marathon. Actually, it's very hurting, and we convey our condolences to all innocent people and to the American people. Okay?
More questions, comments? Comments?
Yeah.
Yes, Carl.
Hi, I have a general question about the site. It looks great. I'm curious about the balance between how much of this is generated in-house within NASA, because I see a mix of, in some places you're linking to AAAS assessments or websites that have been featured by, featured educational websites. What is the sort of balance between how much in-house work you do on this? I'm curious to know how many people are working in this area as a part of NASA.
Well, everything in the collection has been funded by NASA, developed by NASA.
Okay.
And everything in the collection has gone through the process. So currently, there are a number of NASA projects across the United States, either NASA centers or universities or nonprofits or other educational organizations who receive funding from NASA to develop educational programs and resources.
Okay.
And the resources that come out of those grants and contracts and projects get submitted to a review, and once they pass the review, we're putting that
It gets pulled into the system, yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yes.
I was wondering, is there any public lectures that we can learn about?
I apologize, I'm having a little difficulty hearing.
I mean, is there any like a link or that would give us access to public lectures that are done by NASA that can, it's of our interest regarding astronomy, regarding the world climate, and all this interesting. Yeah. Is there a link whereas we can access these lectures, and if it's done online, can we have like a sort of newsletter sent to our emails so we can attend or be aware of these lectures?
That's what
Yes.
it was tonight.
Yeah.
Well, that's really nice lead into what I was going to tell you about what's coming next. Right now, currently, if you follow us on Twitter, you'll hear about things that are coming up, or you go to the news and events page. But you bear with me 1 second while I stop this and bring up the second page. I wanted to show you what's coming next. And what's coming next is the ability for people to register and do a very simple registration with their email and password, and click whether or not they want to receive email notices of upcoming new resources and events, and also to create a collection within Wavelength. So if you give me 30 seconds, and I will pull up, and I wanted to share that with you.
It's running out of power.
Okay, so these are design concepts. These are not live websites that I'm going to show you. But one of the things that we wanted to do is to connect people, connect them with our collection, connect them to news and events. So this summer, we're talking to different focus groups about these items. So what you'll notice coming this summer, when you come to Wavelength, there'll be on the right-hand side a register and sign up button. And so what you'll do, it'll take you through a simple registration, either using your existing social media or just using your email and password, and set up an account. And tell us whether or not you want to get email notifications of new resources and upcoming events. And then what that will also include is to create your own collections within Wavelength. So when you find a resource that you like, there'll be a link where you log into your collection. You'll be able to create your own list of resources. So for this particular resource, whether or not someone is included in a list and decide to make that public, or you can go in, take a look at your list, and I can flip that page and explain a little bit about that, what that would look like. So when you see a resource that you like, you can tag it and add it to one of your lists, and decide whether or not you want to make your list public or private. And then if you want to go in and look at your list, these are different items in a collection by fictitious Raymond Chan called Cruel Sun Activities. And you've got a collection of resources on that topic. So if you're teaching a course and you're going to tag items that you want to include in that course from the collection, you can do that. You can also add items that are from outside of the collection. So if there's a video somewhere or something that you want to just have in that list of resources, as long as it's got a URL, you can add it to this list. It'll be tagged if you make it public that it's outside of the collection, so people know it's not part of the Wavelength collection. But what's nice about that, we think, will be it'll allow you to create not just these collections within our collection, but to supplement that with other resources that you found useful across the internet. And then save that as a PDF, and also have it in your collection on Wavelength.
Good, thank you.
Yeah,
More
I have a
questions?
question.
Samika? Yes.
Teresa, is there any way you can have the
Are there
same?
other comments or questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a question. I mean, your presentation was very helpful. In addition to a brochure, could you have replicate your presentation so that it's available online for people to follow? Because I think that would facilitate reading the brochure or using the brochure and having access. If you have an online, videotaped one or a YouTube or something like that.
Okay. So that you get, and what I also want to point out, on Wavelength, I mentioned we launched in this fall. That's too many tabs to open at one time. Click on this, take it back to the home page. Okay. So we've been in sort of an extended beta phase, and we have on every page in the collection, you'll notice on the right-hand side, there's a feedback button. You click on that, it'll open up the full button, and we'd love your feedback. Any suggestions if you like something, let us know. We'd like to hear that. If there's something you think we can do better, if you find a broken link, if you have suggestions like the one you did about having some short video tours through the collection, let us know. Put them in here. And I see these, the team that does Wavelength, it comes directly to us, and we pay attention to that. So please put those suggestions in here.
Good. Further, yes.
Yeah, is there lectures?
Can you speak up?
Is there lectures from in Australia, like from NASA? I was just wondering. At the universities in Australia?
You mean courses or
Yeah,
talks?
no courses, just more like lectures.
Swinburne, yes.
Yeah.
There are some of the online courses that you can take in Australia.
Okay.
There is a university, Swinburne. They
Yeah.
actually offer a degree that you can take it online.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The question here was about online courses that people can take, and he was asking about the online courses that are offered in Australia and New Zealand, and I think Swinburne is one of the institutions that offer this. And maybe let me ask if you are aware of institutions in the U.S. that can offer courses and training in astronomy for teachers, for amateurs, for students who are interested.
I don't know of anything off the top of my head, but where we put those under news and events are upcoming types of things. If you put that into the feedback button, I will forward that to my astrophysics colleagues to see if they know of something. I don't know off the top of my head.
And let me actually ask you how old is NASA Wavelength, and I think I just actually learned about it in the last AAAS meeting when I actually met your colleagues there. So I think it is still in its early phases. If you can tell us about its how old is it, and what were the motives and what are the plans in its growth? Are there going to be other languages, and how will it develop in the future?
Okay. So we're very young. We just launched NASA Wavelength in October, and the ASTC conference that we were at, it was the very first event where we rolled it out. So you were one of the very first folks to see it. We are funded by NASA. We're always looking for other funding sources. We currently don't have funding to do versions in other languages. However, we set up the metadata so that it's set up so that you can tag it when it's metadata in different languages. So certainly the potential exists with technology that's set up to do that. It's just a matter of funding.
Okay.
further questions or comments? Yes, if you can speak up.
Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you, I'm sorry.
Okay, can you hear me like this? Is this okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, we have now a radio that it's conducting and communicating culture and science for students and maybe high school students or kids. How we can use the Wavelength website and resources to support the audio materials within radio education?
Could you repeat the question at the very end? I'm very sorry, it's very hard to hear.
Right. He is asking about whether NASA Wavelength can be used for online science radios. We have one here in Egypt that he is putting together, and it is a science radio that features scientific topics to the general audience. So he is inspired by your talk to see how can NASA Wavelength be featured in an audio content, and just wanted to get some advice and feedback from you.
Well, I think there's kind of two aspects to it. If there are resources in the collection that might be audio resources in there aren't right now. There is a website called Earth and Sky. Have you heard of that one? And it's actually radio programs that a group in Texas does. It's done some NASA funding and other agency funding. And they're fairly short, but they do also do expanded radio shows on all different topics related to Earth and Sky, so Earth and astronomy, space sciences. And I think the URL is just earthandsky.org. But if you Google Earth and Sky, you'll find it. But that's all radio shows, and that's all linked together. So our collection is driven currently by resources that are funded by NASA. We don't currently have radio shows that are funded.
Sure. But he can use the content to actually cover it on his radio programs.
Okay. So the collection focuses on resources for instruction. So when you search, you'll find that. But some of the other resources under data and images are related to websites that provide the latest science and science content. So if someone was preparing a radio show, they could use those as resources to find the latest science. And also at the bottom of the page, there were some of the multimedia, they're not radio shows, but for example, the NASA Science Cast, short videos. So there's some things that exist, there's some things that could be used to feed the development of that kind of resource. So on Wavelength, if you go under data and images, some of the things that I point out, the Earth Observatory has featured articles on Earth science topics, and Hubble sites on astrophysics, astronomy, Hubble Space Telescope. The things under introductory, several of these are sites that are focused on communicating the latest NASA science to the public. And so they were nice resources for background information that could be developing radio shows like that.
Thank you, Teresa.
Edmund, you have a question?
I was wondering, specifically at the undergraduate level, if there were anything that, like I said, not only undergraduate but above the 100 level, where aspiring scientists could get a taste of analyzing actual astronomical or Earth science data. Are there any activities available like that?
If you go to the data and say at the very bottom, the websites that are listed under advanced. These are things that are designed more for that audience, for people who want to actually get in and use the data for analysis, for science research. And I think we do a science topic. So we've got websites for Earth and astrophysics and heliophysics and planetary science. And each of these sites are set up specifically for those types of audiences to go in and to use the data. There are some courses that are in the actual Wavelength collection. So if you go, I don't know how many there are right now, but I know there's some coming through the review right now, mostly related to earth sciences. Go here. But one of the search terms that you can look for, you can look for audience. I'm going to go higher ed, and the type of resource, courses is one of the types of resources. So we do have some actual courses that people have put through the product reviews and are available online. I don't know of one that does exactly what you described.
I can actually see on the intermediate or on the advanced, you have the NASA HERA, H-E-R-A. This is something that I have used. Actually, this is for the high energy astrophysics, because we would need to install several pieces of software to get our computers capable of getting the images, the data, and doing the analysis and so on. So the HERA that you have showed a minute ago, and it might come up here now, it's something that you log on. It's an account that you log on. You download the data to the system, and all the software are actually there. So you just do the analysis on a computer at NASA, and just you are using your local computer as a terminal. So the NASA HERA is indeed one of the ways that people can indeed use the real science data to do real science research.
And I want to point out, there's also a version of HERA for high school students. It's
Oh, great.
The intermediate section up
Great.
here. So,
Yeah.
student HERA.
This is very
Under
great.
intermediate and then under advanced,
Yes.
all of these are do that. They're set up for getting actual data for scientific research and analysis.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Further comments or questions? I may actually add that I think the State Department might be among the funding agencies that you might want to consider when it comes to audiences and users outside the U.S. So
I'm sorry, I didn't get the name.
Yes,
I wanted to kind of mention.
the U.S. State Department is among the funding agencies that should be interested in a project like yours, because I think you have an international audience, and maybe they could also help giving access to more international participants and audiences, and also maybe translating the content. There is a science office, and I think it would be good to let them know that this is NASA Wavelength. We have spoken to the. Actually, we had a presentation yesterday by the regional officer of science and technology in the State Department, and I'm going to actually put you together so that yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Very helpful.
Any other comments, questions? So
Thank you very much.
thank you very much, Teresa.
Thank
And
Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you. That was good. That was good.
It's an honor to have you here.
It's a good resource.
We hope يعني فعلا إن إحنا we put it in use.
Opening the doors, inshallah.
طبعا opening the door is the key to everything.
Thank you very much.
Merci كده حسامي. Did we turn it off?
You know, I'll keep an eye. I mean, again, the big obstacle